Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Anything Goes with Anna Rose. And friends, I am giving the people what they want. I have the one, the only, the formidable Luke Balcke back in the hot seat today. Luke?
Yes, I'm here. Thanks for having me again. So soon too.
Yes, and I feel like it's
like a whole year's gone by.
It should have been sooner.
I know.
I think we need a regular, we'll see, like a monthly. If you'll come in.
Tune in.
Yeah, a tune in, tune
blow
up.
Blow by blow.
Fuck. So
yeah,
we know, if you have listened to this podcast, you know the context of this introduction and opening. But back in November, Luke and I sat down and he, as the king astrologer, basically to the date, pretty much, I remember it was February 20th, you had said, from that date when the conjunction occurred, something, it was the balloon and the pin.
That's right.
What's going to make it go pop?
Yeah.
And I said, could be World War III.
Yeah.
And I also said, I felt like it was a monetary destruction, like an ending of a beginning. Anyway, cut to today is April the 2nd. Trump is actually, friends, Trump is actually live. He's just gone live as we've sat down. So I don't know what's going to come of that national address that he's giving to the world right now. We are stuck in a vortex in a room with no access to it. So let's see. We could come out and the fucking World War III officially could have begun. It could have ended. But I wanted to bring you back on because you are such a calm voice of reason. You know a lot because what do you say? The skies never lie.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And because I think during this time, the most important voices for me are the calm ones and are the ones that are aware without anxiousness, are, tuned in without ignorance. And you were just like the epitome of that for me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what's going on in the world right now, Luke?
I mean, it would all hinged around that conjunction of Saturn and Neptune in Aries that happened on the 20th. 3 days before was the solar eclipse.
Yes.
And then what happened on the 28th when the day the war started was Mars, the planet of war, activated the degree of the eclipse. And as it did, it squared across to Uranus. And Mars and Uranus are like sudden events, So literally it was like the theme of this year and into the next probably 3 to 4 years is going to be the Saturn-Neptune conjunction.
Okay.
Because it's a big outer planetary conjunction that happens like every 36 or so years. So it's a pretty significant seed point. If we go back to 2020, we had a Saturn-Pluto conjunction, was a seed point, right? So I was always waiting to see exactly what it was. Collapse, faith, hope, belief in the future was my idea around what was happening.
Okay.
And that's what happens, right? There's conflict and then there's all of a sudden, whoa, there's panic. There's a little bit of like uncertainty and fear. And also people's hopes, wishes and dreams of like what they thought they were moving towards, all of a sudden it starts to sort of break down a bit. To tie into that, war starts, right? So the fact that we had war start around within, a few days of that conjunction tells me that that's probably what we're going to be in for the 3 to 4 years ahead at least.
Right.
And we'll have this type of thing going along.
Yes.
But I think steadily getting more and more serious.
More serious. Well, it's interesting because obviously since that episode, so that aired, we sat in November 2025. I aired that in December 2025.
Yeah.
We are now April the 2nd, 2026. Let us timestamp this on the mic.
Yeah.
And I had a lot to say in that episode just from that more geopolitical, I remember touching on, well, of course something's going to end because we're at cyclically in the world, the fourth turning, which is the winter season, which is the collapse.
Yeah.
The 18.6 year economic cycle, that's coming to an end.
Yes.
And that we're in that right now. We are literally in that collapse. But something else that really it's always spiked my interest politically. I love politics. So geopolitically, economically, I suppose for me, my obsession is only heightened. And so it's interesting because I feel, and this is why I sort of wanted you I would just be interested to see what the skies are saying.
Mhm.
I do feel like the biggest gap in Australia right now is between the perception of what's truly going on
Mhm.
or like what's truly going on and the perception of it. So there's an enormous, in my opinion, gap
Mhm.
between actually geopolitically, economically, globally, what is occurring,
Mhm.
which is, I think, far bigger and far more destructive, sorry, everyone,
Mhm.
and far more damaging, than anyone realizes. And everyone's just like, la, 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 la.
Mm.
That's sort of and I think the most dangerous thing in society at the moment is, in fact, that gap. And people aren't necessarily preparing and and that's this collapse thing for me.
Yeah. Well, the analogy I've used before is like when you're in traffic and
Mhm.
there's congestion and all of a sudden you stopped, but there's no reason why you've stopped.
Mhm.
Like there's no accident, there's nothing, there's just a lot of traffic and you're sitting stopped.
Mm.
Well, 5 kilometers ahead, there was someone just touched their brake lights a little bit.
Yeah.
And the knock-on effect eventually gets to a point where everything stops. So I think the brake light effect is what happened in February.
Yeah.
Boom, okay, there's a bit of a touch of the brake light. The knock-on effect is coming. And initially it's like, oh, we had to slow down. Why? Because energy costs went up. Diesel got harder, right? Which if you look at the conjunction of Saturn and Neptune happened in the sign of Aries. Aries is cardinal fire. It's the life force, right? So what has happened around, if you think about what oil does, right, diesel fuel and all those things, it's the life force of human activity.
Literally.
In the modern world. So there's a collapse of that, right? There's a restriction on that, restrictions on people's activity and their life force.
Yeah.
So we're feeling the slowdown effect at the moment where you haven't come to the stop.
Right. Okay.
I feel like the stop is coming, which is when it becomes very serious for everyone.
Right.
But at the moment, like you say, the gap between what's actually happening and the effect that it's having here is like a bit of like, oh, everything's still going along rather normal. Yes, things have got more expensive.
Yeah.
But I think not too distant future, we're going to come to that block.
Yes.
Yeah. So
it's interesting because I always say, when I say I can't explain it, because I'm not an astrologer. I'm not a political analyst. I'm not an economist. I'm literally just a life enthusiast, probably a little bit spicy on the spectrum somewhere, aren't we all?
yes.
That gets obsessive compulsive with certain things. And for me, it's learning, and what a gift, what a drats. I'm obsessed with learning, poor me.
Yeah.
But for me, I always say I just can't explain the feeling that I have of what I do believe is coming. And it's not great news, but I also think that there needs to be a collapse, the ending, the destruction of how it's been, which just feels very global at the moment. There's going to be a collapse. I think Trump's second term was always headed for that in some way, shape or form. But this collapsing of the old for the new to come in. Is that what the skies are saying?
Yeah. And I think the next 4 years is the collapse phase. I don't think we get into the rebuild or the new to come through maybe until early into the next decade.
Right.
And part of that collapse phase is if we expand right out and use astrology to help us understand the really, really big picture.
Yes, please.
We're certainly moving out of the age of Pisces and into the age of Aquarius. Now, there's no consensus in the astrological community as when that may or may not happen. Some people believe that it already happened astrologically around the turn of the 18th and 19th century, and that was the Industrial Revolution. I sort of lean to that way because I think what happened around that time is powers that want to be cleverly devised a particular type of system to encapsulate human activity and consciousness and keep it sort of trapped within that industrial age, right? That's where a lot of the education came in, right? The early education. That's where a lot of the systems that now we operate within were developed in that time. And I think a lot of those systems were to continue to keep us in the consciousness of the age of Pisces as the transition was being made. Because around that time we had the invention of air travel, and then it went commercial air travel. And I think commercial air travel is definitely more of an air quality.
Literally.
And we've also had recently in the last, however many, 20 or 30 years or so, we had the internet, right? And now we've got social media. These are types of air quality experiences that fit more into the age of Aquarius rather than the age of Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
However, we're operating from a level of consciousness. So the vast majority of people are consciously asleep.
Yeah, I was like, that's
stuck in
we are not conscious.
Stuck in a belief system
yes.
that's been conditioned into them based on the Industrial Revolution, right? And the systems that governed human activity, right? The political system, the medical system, financial system, the educational system, all the different systems have trapped our mind and our belief system in that consciousness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yet a lot of the things that we're seeing coming through and the inventions of air travel and internet and social media and all those types of things are more expansive of the Aquarian age. So then I think, okay, if we're moving into the age of Aquarius, and even if it's like the end of the age of Pisces and it's like the beginning of the age of Aquarius and it's not going to happen for some time, we're still through that transition.
Right.
So I think that September 11 was a signal to the powers that want to be, those in the know, as a bit of a marker to say, right, the collapse of the twins, right? We're bringing down the veil and now we're exposing... Right, we're exposing to everyone the mechanisms of that age. Why? Because the first step of significant change is the awareness of what needs to change. And that's what's been happening since September 11 till now. If you think about people's awareness of what's going on in the world, pre-September 11, vast majority of people are asleep. Few people were probably awake, but they had no voice. September 11 happens, it's the trigger, and we move forward incrementally. 2008, more people woke up. 2012, more people wake up. 2016, more people woke up. 2020, people more. What are we waking up to? We're starting to see, hang on a second, what the hell is fucking going on in this world? Who's running things? And now you pull into that the Epstein stuff that's going on and all of the dark satanic stuff that's going on behind the scenes. It's the awareness phase that we've been in since September 11 till now of like, okay, this needs to change. Now they trigger the next phase is the collapse. And it can collapse because we're already going, yeah, it's all cooked anyway, right? The whole thing's corrupted. It's been corrupted. So,
it's a swamp.
Yeah.
Maybe a too big a question or you don't know. This is now like us just like mates having a conversation, really. Yeah, philosophical question. You said something with the collapse of the twins and the powers that be were sort of signaling to let us know. Now,
not us, the people in the know.
Okay, because
they don't let us know. That was
going to be my question. I'm like, Luke, this is really like made me think because I'm like, they don't want us to know. They want us to. Okay, so it was a signal to the elites and the cabal and the globe, right?
Yeah.
So amongst their people,
it's a marker, right? A marker of time.
Yeah.
So JFK assassination, moon landing, September 11, markers of time, right? So, and if you're in the know, that signifies to you what the next phase of time is going to be about. So that's what I think that was about. And that tells me what I think they're doing. There's many different ways to look at this. So
yeah, I'm like, let's go here.
Let's ideas and opinions of my own and how I sort of see things and put it all together is that they need a collapse phase of that age of Pisces.
Let me back it up. Hang on. When you're saying they, because I just know people are like, who are they talking about?
Sure.
Who's they?
Yeah.
Are we talking about global elitists, the cabal, like the evil rot?
Who's behind what's going on?
Yes. Okay.
Who's behind what's going on?
Yes.
Can we point to a person? And I think it's organizations of people.
Yeah.
Secret societies.
Well, I think
secret oaths, secret handshakes.
I can say for me, I'm like, it's the Royals, the Roosevelts, and the Rothschilds. That's sort of my organization, family. Who's higher than the Royals?
Catholic Church.
Oh, and the Pope. I have said this before, probably on camera. I was like, did I say it on or off camera? Yeah, so organized religion. So Pope, Royals, Roosevelts, Rothschilds. They're sort of like the they. When you say they, that's how I interpret it. And they are the organizations and the families and the Illuminati essentially that run the world.
Yeah,
so
and the level of bureaucracy and government and politicians that we see are very, very low.
Yes.
There's mechanisms above that.
They're the little rats in the wheel.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. They're pawns, puppets, like Beaker.
Yeah, I was going to say we have to bring the T-shirt up and then we're going back to the day where we were going. But Luke walked in today and he has, if you go get on Spotify or YouTube and see, he's got Beaker the Muppet and fuck on his shirt. I'm obsessed. Obsessed.
I said that's what I'm going to wear on the days I have to fill up fuel.
Yeah, done. Yes, obsessed. It's very reminiscent of the energy of the world right now.
Yeah.
No, so I'm going to take you back. So just because people get frustrated, I get it. It's like, who are they? That's who I think they are, the global elites.
Let's bring more symbolism and astrology into it. Age of Pisces. Pisces is two fish.
Yes.
Yeah. The two fish are technically swimming in different directions with their tail tied together, right? The ribbon between the two fish. One swimming one direction, one swimming the other. That's indicative of your higher self and lower self unconsciously connected. So when we're born in the age of Pisces, we are unconsciously connected to our higher self. We have no conscious. So therefore, we don't know who we are. We're lost. The lower self, the Luke part, the body, the part that's here to experience this material plane is unconscious of the higher self. So that ribbon, right, that's what religion, organized religion is in the age of Pisces. They came in and they were the binding between the two. So you would go through organized religion to get to your higher self, which is an aspect of God, right? So the religion was designed to be the belief in something, because in the age of Pisces, built on the idea of belief, it's the age of belief, you have to believe in God because you're unconscious of your actual connection to God.
Yeah.
Right? So organized religion and the state are the two mechanisms that control consciousness for the age of Pisces. Right? There was I can't remember the Pope. It was some time ago. It was during this age. There was the papal bull, I think it's called. And what he did is he claimed ownership of all of the lost souls of Earth, because he said you're all lost basically, and you haven't claimed your divinity, so now you're lost. So if you want to understand how this system works, you go back into what happens at birth and the registration of your birth certificate and all that. It all goes back to the Catholic Church. Right, so
I'm like trying to be quiet just to let you speak, but I will say the feedback I got on the first episode, it was our second, but the episode we did in December. Yes, people lost their minds. It was, you literally predicted this time, etc. But the most feedback I actually got was that real random riff we did at the start on religion, and how much it actually connected with people. And it's funny because as you were just explaining to me, the fish and the unconscious and the conscious, the words out of my mouth are going to be like, yeah, well, that's like religion to me. Like they're trying to, and then you said it, and I was like, see, yeah.
So in that age of belief, because we're lost consciously, we needed religion. At its core, it probably had a good intention behind it, but like everything that man creates, it gets corrupted.
Yeah.
That's why AI is a disaster, because it's a creation of man, so it can be easily corrupted. And religion has been corrupted. Now
deeply corrupted.
Now what's happening? So in that age of Pisces, the age of belief, right? Your lower self, because it's unconscious of your higher self, is going to sin. In other words, you're going to fuck up, hurt yourself and hurt others. Why? Because you're lost, right? So Jesus, which is an acronym of Jupiter and Zeus.
Yeah.
Jesus, right? Jupiter and Zeus is the god of the sign Pisces, right? He's the planet that rules Pisces. So in this age, he's came here to save us.
He's the savior.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The frequency of the sun that emits during the entire age of Pisces has the set tone of a Pisces frequency.
Okay.
Right? Now, I mean, we could go so many places with this.
Yeah.
Climate change, everything's heating up. Yeah, because we're moving out of the age of Pisces, right? It's a cold and damp age. We're going into a cool and dry age. Aquarius, right? And in Aquarius is the age of knowing. So what you've had is this revival of religion and people going back to God and Jesus and the church and all that. You noticed that
which
recently?
we talked about that on the first episode.
Right. So what they're doing is they're trying to believe in Jesus and maybe that Jesus might come back.
That's what they think.
Well, in the age of Pisces, he came here to save us from our sins, right? So that's the story. It's a mythology, right?
That's the fable.
It's a allegory. It's not an actual literal thing. It's a story of the stars, right?
Don't tell that to the new Christians. Luke.
No, that's okay. I'm offending people. Like, hey, what the fuck? So he came here, preached the word of Pisces, unconditional love. Was crucified on the cross. The cross represents matter. So on the material plane, when you try to preach Pisces, you get crucified. Unconditional love, what do you mean? Forgiveness and compassion, empathy, kindness for all. That's what Jesus preached, right?
Yeah.
And they crucified him. Because that means that if you try to express that in this age, because of you're lost, you don't believe and you're lost and you're going to be crucified. So the story is Jesus is crucified on the cross, right? And as he's crucified, he says to God, forgive them, Father, because they know not what they do.
Yeah, for they have sinned.
Because in their unconscious state, they're going to sin.
Yeah.
So humans, unconscious, are going to hurt themselves and each other. They're going to fuck up and make fools. And that's why forgiveness was the teaching of Jesus. Now, he came here and saved us. He was the savior of this age, which meant because of that quality, you can sin as long as you forgive others and offer apology and forgive, you can be saved, right? That's the whole teaching of it. Now we're moving into the age of Aquarius, all right? And the age of Aquarius is the age of that Jesus consciousness awakening inside each person, not coming external in a man in the cloud.
I fucking love this,
walking
Luke.
the earth. It's an awakening of consciousness of humanity into the individual heart Christ consciousness awakening. So Aquarius is all about humanity. It's the water bearer. The water bearer it's an interesting symbol because it's water bearer for an air age. What does that make sense? Well, it's the wisdom of your higher self, the stars, right? Your connection to source, poured down into the benefit of all, right? So what's happening if you go, okay, we're going to go through this collapse of the Piscean age.
Yeah.
All of the old systems, the monetary systems, the church, the state, organized religion, the bureaucracy, everything has to collapse because it's built upon the belief in God, church. It's built upon a belief, right? All these things that we believe in the government's got our best interests at heart. We believe in the money, right? If the only thing giving money value is our belief in it.
I did a whole
there is no
call.
Intrinsic value
Correct.
to it.
I did a whole call on this.
So
explaining that.
We've got to collapse all of that belief, faith and hope, right? Because we go into knowing.
And so just to surmise quickly again, because I was born for this time. I feel like I'm listening to you. I always say truth vibrates at a different frequency. And when you are clear and you are tapped in and you don't get offended and you can be open to new ideas, I feel the frequency. I always say this. I can tell when someone's doesn't know what they're talking about or is lying because it's like it's a frequency in my body. That's the truth, right? I'm sitting here and I'm like, this is like the deepest remembrance I've ever heard for me. And I'm sure for many when they listen to this. But it's interesting because I read something the other day and it said how Jesus had come to earth. And we've heard this on the first episode. I was indoctrinated super religiously as a Christian, Pentecostal Christian. So I know the Bible. I'm actually rereading it because I was like, everyone went back to it and I was like, am I missing something? Like, fuck it, I'm going to reread it. So anyway, and it was so funny because my mum beautifully got so excited, sent me one and I opened it and I was like, pish posh, give me the original. This is so corrupted by me. Like a pastor had written. Anyway, I was like, religion is wild. But anyway, I reread the other day how Jesus said like God is within, right? God is within. And to me, I believe that. I believe we are made of, like, God is love, God is consciousness, God is knowing. It is just the infinite purity to me of knowledge and love and Christ consciousness. And to me, that's the universe, that is energy, that is us, right? Because we're not separate from it. We are not separate from it. We are made, I always say, it's a cute quote, but it's the truth. Like we are literally made of the same cosmic stardust ultimately as a human being, as the universe itself. So I love all this, right? So when I heard the quote from Jesus, which is the fable, which is ultimately just the story of history, saying that, God is within, Christians, I feel, and Catholics in religion has interpreted that wrong. And to me, I hear it as like, we are God, like we are all like infinite love. We are infinitely powerful. It's the knowing piece. It's not to hear that and go, I must repent and go and give my life to a church and a religious textbook and follow that and Christ is coming to save me. I'm like, no, we are the saviors. Like you are only saving your own self. That's how I interpret it. So when you say all that, I'm like, this makes so much sense for this period in time, because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is why it's collapsing. But of course, if I didn't know that. I mean, I've heard it 1,000 times, probably more from like a feminine woo, age of Pisces, age of Aquarius, like beautiful, like all astrologers are required. But actually in the deepest, most historic understanding. It's like, oh, it is a collapse of a time and an era into a new, and for the new to come, it must collapse. And this is that era.
That system, especially since the turn of the Industrial Revolution till now, the system that the collective's been living within has trapped consciousness stuck in that system with the faith, belief, and hope in it. And that's all we know. And we're indoctrinated from our education and early childhood education into the system. Then you get a degree, then you go out and you get a job and you do that, and you're trapped within that system. Trapped within that with your belief attached to it, your consciousness is limited, right? So I always say to people, the way to think about consciousness is like a skyscraper, and 70 to 80% of people live on the ground floor of this skyscraper. And that is, they look out down the road, down the street, and they see all the billboards and the marketing and everything the government, all the corporations have put there, and they believe that's reality. As you expand your consciousness, you rise up and you're now sitting on the 10th floor. So you see everything they do, but so much more, right? So what's happening in this period of time is that ground floor is being removed. We're going to remove the people living on that. So what we're going to do is break down their attachment to that reality.
It's hard.
Some people can let go of that and naturally will expand their consciousness. Attachment equals like, no, I'm attached to this. I'm attached to the ideology, the belief, my education, my identity, my role, my title, whatever I'm attached to. So the more you're attached, the harder that process is, the more chaos you feel. The less attached, conscious naturally expands when you're not attached to it. So now they're collapsing our faith and attachment to that. And that's literally what's happening, that we're losing the faith, hope, and belief in what was. It's part of the process to shift consciousness, right? So allowing that consciousness to naturally awaken. And I have said many times, we are not waiting for the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius is waiting for us to wake up. It's the awakening in each individual, right? Coming together as a collective, that expansion of consciousness. And I'm super motivated by that because my journey of awakening began around 2012, expedited through 2016. By the time 2020 came on, I was like, oh, I don't know what the hell's going on now.
Yeah.
But pre-2020, I was like, you don't talk about those things. People think you're loony. Yeah. Now we can talk about those things.
We're the majority. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like in such a short period of time, like now it's actually became
time
mainstream.
Is collapsing. I find this fascinating from every perspective. And I suppose I've been saying to Ryan, I'm like, I've got all the pieces of the puzzle. I feel like, and not always, like how you never, well, I will never, but I feel like I definitely have more pieces of the puzzle. There's just something that I'm missing, like that I'm missing something, but I feel like that was the key that just unlocked it for me. It's like, well, actually, no, I'm not missing anything. Actually, it is literally universally law. It was written in the literal stars. And some people would find that really woo. I don't at all whatsoever. And I suppose, again, that's just a deep curiosity and love of all things. Like I know we talked about this on the first episode, but, astrology is poo-pooed and bad in religion, which I also find really interesting and ironic because I think that it's almost Pisces trying to cling on and hold on to humanity as we break free into the rise into the age of Aquarius of knowing that actually we don't need those systems and paradigms and organized religion to be free. And actually freedom was always within. And it's up to us to know that, to seek that and to become that ultimately.
For sure. Well, even if you tie this into how this began and what Israel has said in relation to the intention behind the war, right? They've come out publicly and said this is about bringing the return of the Messiah.
Yeah. If you don't know that, guys.
Now, people look at that and they're indoctrinated into the attachment of their religion as like, oh my God, Jesus is coming back.
Yeah. No, they really
I look
think
at that as like, that's code word for saying this is about consciousness shifting. And that awakening of the Messiah is the quality of consciousness that's going to allow this process of collapse, which you can't just wake up one day and get elbow sleazy on there to put a press conference out to tell people, hey, we're going to just stop doing all these things, right? Because people are fully attached to it. And you've got so many different levels of consciousness operating within the system that you can't do that. It wouldn't be too detrimental for people. So we have to find a way to collapse things, right? Well, war.
So the big question I know people wonder, I'm sitting here wondering this because I feel like I know all this, right? In the sense that I know, I'm well aware, I feel like that the governments aren't in control. There is always a bigger player. And like I said, it was the royals, the Romans, like the Pope, Roosevelt's Rothschilds.
Apparently there's 13 bloodlines, 13 families.
Yeah, they do say that. To me, they're the core though, because if you trace back anything in medicine, education, banking, and religion, they're like the core four. Really, core 4 or 5. But yeah, my mum raised me on this. Like this was my bedtime stories. That and the Bible. But when we talk about this collapse and the collapse is coming and, you know, us and etc. and them and us, ultimately for me, and this is the pulse that I have on society right now, just from an Australian perspective. People are very awake. People are saying, oh, you know, almost pish posh to me, like, come on, Anna, wake up. I'm like, oh, doll, catch up. I don't need to wake up. You need to catch up. Like I was born into this knowing, basically. Like my mum was telling me, like, the quicker you understand who and what runs the world, the easier you will get through this life, right? You can rebel against the system. You can say no to certain things, right? So I'm very blessed in that regard. Where I genuinely get confused though is in this destruction of the old to make way for the new, I would perceive it as the elites who do actually genuinely run the world don't want us to wake up. They don't, and this is why I'm asking you, what is your perception and take on this? Because I hear this and I know this and I'm like, yeah, I would imagine that they don't want actually as I'm saying this, I'm like, oh, but so they wouldn't want the destruction of the old way because ultimately we are all asleep and they can get us on their pharmaceutical hamster wheel, their education hamster wheel, the debt hamster wheel, all of those things that basically keep their own society at the top running. So in this next era of destruction and newness, are they still just in control? It's like, well, they've already got the play with the digital ID, with the, you know, digital currency.
If you watch the Game of Thrones series.
Love that series.
Right. Just because we move into a new age, because that is a depiction of the age of Aries into the age of Pisces. It's literally that series is showing you how we ended the age of Aries and entered into the age of Pisces.
Oh.
There's still always someone sitting on the throne.
Khaleesi.
No,
she does. Oh, I shouldn't give that away.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, sorry, everyone.
If you haven't watched it,
don't watch
stop listening now. But who sits on the throne at the end? Do you remember?
Was it the Red Queen?
No, it was the cripple, Brendan Stark. He's in a wheelchair, remember?
I can't even remember. I literally watched because I hated the final season.
Let's do some quick symbolism.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, you sit on the Iron Throne to rule the 7 kingdoms.
Yes.
7 traditional planets in astrology, 7 kingdoms, right? All of the houses are the houses of the astrology, right? The signs of the zodiac. Now, who was sitting on it was the Targaryens.
Yes.
Then the Lannisters got on there.
Yes.
Right? So Lannisters are the lions.
Yeah.
Right? So Leo. That's our modern day monarchy.
Okay.
Yeah. They're sitting on an iron throne made of swords.
Yeah.
Iron and swords are the quality of Mars. Mars rules Aries.
Okay.
So it's all about Aries. Right. At the end, the dragon comes along
and
burns down the throne.
The entire system, yeah.
All that melts.
Yeah.
And then they vote. Eventually they come together and they vote for a new person to sit on the throne, and it's Brendan Stark. He's the cripple.
Yeah.
Cripple, like as in disabled people, are of the quality of Pisces. So it's that the whole series is showing you how we move from age to age. There's still always someone sitting on the throne. And there'll still be another person sitting on the throne in the age of Aquarius. I believe that's what they want to do. My short-term outlook is that they're going to try to hijack this transition and remain control. And
right.
They might do that through AI.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
So artificial, which suits Aquarian energy as well, right? Futuristic, artificial technology, that sort of thing. I believe that even that eventually will fail because once the consciousness of humanity awakens, right, we have the ability to then rule ourselves out in sovereignty.
Yeah.
Right? So we don't need
There is more of us than there is of them at the end of the day.
But they are certainly what I feel they're trying to do as they shift this age is they're trying to maintain control of this next epoch. And eventually I don't think that works.
Right.
Yeah. So, but they will try.
Well, from a geopolitical perspective, what I was watching very closely and continue to watch is when Trump got in, this is why I wonder his connection to it all. And I don't love him. I don't hate him. I'm indifferent. I'm indifferent to everyone. This is how I can watch people and listen to people because I don't get emotionally attached. But I've been curious and interested in him because he did feel very anti-elite, anti-globalist, right? Like drained the swamp because he was basically aware of what we were. And when he had come into power, and he is why we are in this mess of collapse and destruction currently, he pulled Israel, but Trump as well. I think they absolutely use each other. So Trump came into power with three sort of ideas and hopes. Weaken the dollar, which is very counterintuitive essentially because it was to boost manufacturing and American power, which he is doing. Lower bond yields, so like lower the interest rate that America has to pay back its debt on bonds essentially, which is like $39 trillion or something, and boost the stock market. So to me, it's all still very linked astrologically, age of Aquarius, etc. What I find interesting though was when he started this, it's a proxy war with China. Ultimately, this is the play, and this isn't from me. Like I listen to economists, etc., and the geopolitical commentary. But ultimately, and even if you don't, you could see that coming in the play because he's trying to collapse China, right? Ultimately, he wants to become the manufacturing superpower of the world, America, and China currently is. So if he cut off China's supply of oil, he could, in essence, and controlled the oil from Venezuela and Iran and stopped Iran being able to sell their oil cheap to China, he could become the economic and manufacturing superpower. What is fucking with my head though is the collapse of the petrodollar because ultimately he knows what he's doing. So this is where I get super confused, and we don't have to talk on this, but where I'm going with this is explaining all this is to say other presidents and prime ministers, because I get asked this question all the time, well, you like Trump, and it's not that I love Trump, it's just that I'm like, I fuck with some of the policies he's created and executive orders. He's the better of the bad bunch. I'll say that. At least it's not an auto pen running America, which was ultimately the global elitists. So what confuses me with this play though is that it's a proxy war with China. He didn't like that Iran, Russia and Venezuela were supplying China not only with cheaper oil, but they were trading in yuan, so the Chinese dollar. But then ultimately, I'm like, the digital currency play that I see coming from this is I was like, I felt like he went to war. This is where I get confused in my own brain. I feel like he went to war to stop the collapse of the petrodollar, right? To say, no, fuck you, Russia, basically mainly Iran as well. So he'd sanctioned Russia, wiped hundreds of billions off their economy from sanctioning Russia with the Ukraine-Russian war. He captured Maduro, so he stopped Venezuela being able to supply China with oil. Then he fucking invaded Iran, which has stopped momentarily them being able to supply China. The play that economists say is because he was he didn't like that they were then about to change the petrodollar. So right now the petrodollar is the USD. Iran, Venezuela, Russia were all agreeing to pay in Chinese yuan, the Chinese dollar. But then I see recently that Trump's sons, which is Trump, had also just with World Financial Liberty created a new crypto coin, right? USD1, that is a stable coin back to the USD. So this is where I get this is the missing piece of the puzzle for me. If that might have confused the fuck out of you all, but understand this is where my head is at, and I'm going to surmise it down into a simple question for you. Is Trump the one? So I watch all that and I think, oh, he's trying to protect the petrodollar with all the plays I just said, the geopolitical plays. Then I go, no, he's not. He's literally trying to collapse it. Any other president would have gone to war to protect it. Trump, I almost feel like, has gone to war to collapse it. And this is what I had said on the original podcast. I said, I just get this weird sense for me. War is the pop.
Yeah.
But you saying it, this sort of ties it back to this, right? Yeah. What makes it stop is a monetary collapse. And a monetary collapse, I'm not saying it's the dollar, but because that is the global currency, essentially, the USD. But I'm like, it could be Trump. So then this is where I get my take, ultimately, astrologically, I'm asking you, now saying all of that, I'm like, he's either the good guy or the bad guy. He is the one that's coming in to beat. He is the 5D chess player or he's not. And I thought he lost control. But when I back it up and I go, okay, if we're looking at a collapse of systems, religion, currency, which I think is coming. I think it is a literal collapse of the world as we know it. Mm-hmm. He was the one that popped the balloon. Like he was the pin that basically went into Iran, which has caused this global war. Mm-hmm. Astrologically, hearing all of that now, because it's counterintuitive to me, I'm like, you were either trying to collapse the petrodollar or you're actually trying to collapse the dollar. And ultimately your family wins because you've now got a crypto coin. So that's the new digital currency they're saying, right? And not just that, but ultimately digital currency, that can be the wave of the new financial dollar system, which is a digital currency, which everyone's screaming, don't do. Where do you see Trump fitting into this astrologically?
I don't think you'd look at him as a bad man or a good man.
Okay.
He is playing a role. And he's a catalyst for whatever's going on, right? So you don't like if you get caught up in the politics of him and like, oh my God, I've been catching a lot of Ubers lately, and like some people are just like pro and against.
Yeah,
right? There's so much division. He's a natural Gemini, right? So he's very divisive.
Yeah.
But you got to expand beyond that aspect of him, his personality and what he's actually doing, and look at the bigger picture. He's a catalyst for this whole process. Now, you needed someone like him to do this. Who else was going to be the type of person that's going to do this? And he can play both sides. So all of a sudden, for a long time, everyone's like, he's the savior. And now everyone's going, what the hell is he doing? Right? So it's that switch of that Gemini, like you're not seeing what's happening. Forget both of those. That's the role that he's playing. Right? He's just a character in a role. He's not in control. Right? There is an agenda being played out that he's the person to instigate that.
Okay.
And everyone thinks that he's the guy.
Yeah.
He's the face of whatever's happening, but he's not like just sitting there going, I wonder what I will do next. He's saying, what are we going to do? And talking to all of the people that are behind,
right.
the faceless, powers that want to be. He's just their political puppet, if you like, right? Now, because they're in the know, and because of this shady Gemini energy, which is like can play both sides, he's going to benefit.
Oh, let me tell you, friends.
But let me tell you.
The billions that he
Let me
will
tell
earn.
you, I don't know if you know this, but all of your politicians that you think are here as public servants are not. They are immensely benefiting from the inside knowledge of what the hell's going on before we know what's going on. If you look at there's a guy in the US who watched all of the long-term sitting politicians and how they've made better returns than Warren Buffett.
I think I was just about to say this.
And he's developed an app that follows their trades.
Autopilot.
And it's like, hello, these are your people, elected officials. They're public servants.
Yeah.
Right? So they're all doing that.
Do you know what pisses me off?
The good thing about Trump is it's pretty transparent. You can see him, they're doing it.
Yeah.
Whereas everyone else is hidden doing it and they're just standing on there this moral high ground. Like they're, they're a public servant and they're all these things and they've got this. The whole thing's a scam.
Yeah.
Trump's just showing us really how scammed it is. But the bigger picture, I think, especially my take on the situation with I think there's two parts to it. I think it is part of like a religious war, right? And I think you have to watch Israel, especially the Dome of the Rock, right? Which is
they have been saying
the Muslim temple.
Yeah.
Because if that gets destroyed, you know that we're really in the shit. Okay. So.
Well, aren't they saying if that gets destroyed, that the Messiah is returning? Isn't that the signal that they think?
They want to rebuild the third temple there.
Okay.
There's already been 2 holy temples that got destroyed. They want to build the third one, but they're on that in 1500 or something. Muhammad apparently built the mosque. I don't know the full details, but basically I'm just saying that there's a mosque sitting on there now, which is one of the holy sites for Islam.
Mm-hmm.
So that looks like if that's why one of my indicators, like over this next maybe 6 to 12 months, like if you see that all of a sudden in the news going, oh, it's been destroyed,
right,
then you know we're in the next phase of something pretty serious. And this could be the religious war, right? That is part of it. Now, the oil side of this, yeah, because if there is some sort of fight for dominance on who's going to control the next age,
mm-hmm. which I think is what's happening.
Yeah. So it would make sense that it would be the East versus the West.
Oh, yeah.
So cut off the oil and the energy and the fuel and the life force to the East.
Mm.
So the West has an upper hand. So if you're in war and your enemy, you've starved them of oil, well, you just wait for them to run out and then that's it.
Yeah, which is
now you got
basically what's happening.
Exactly. So,
which is literally what's happening.
Yeah. And then the currency side of it as well. Yes, the current financial system is way past its use by date.
Yes.
So, and what's happened with that system is that the debt is so extreme now across most countries, especially the Western world, it cannot be paid back.
Correct.
So what's happening is this future that you thought you were living for and paying towards and going to retire and your kids and all of those that's not happening anymore. It can't happen in the current system in the way it's going.
What people are immediately going to start thinking, because they're going to stress out when they hear that, I can hear their voices, is, but Luke, what do I do then? And we don't have all the answers, you guys, but like, is my money in the bank safe? Is it all going to collapse? What?
Educate yourself. You have to come into your own knowing.
Yes.
You're going to look for an outside savior. You're stuck in the Pisces frequency. No one's coming to save you. You've got to wake up. You've got to take responsibility. COVID, Saturn, Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, the theme behind that was, are you going to take responsibility or hand responsibility over?
Mm-hmm.
That was the time when you needed to start taking responsibility for yourself. That was the time you needed to start to go, hang on, I better look after myself. I better start educating myself. I better find out what I should do or not do and all those things. If you're at this point and going, I don't know what to do, you have to educate yourself. You have to be the one that's responsible. You can't look for someone else who's got the answers. You have to find your own way in this.
Yeah.
You know, what you have to do though is frame it until you go, you have to wake up to the fact that we've been sold this lie that if we keep doing this and feeding into this, then we're going to get this.
Yeah.
Well, that's going away. It's disappearing.
This feels very like validating to me, because I did a call, that money, I don't know if I did a money and investing masterclass. I think it was just after or just before we did our December episode. And I literally went into the history. I opened it with my favorite quote, which is Jordan Peterson, like, we are morally incumbent to set ourselves free to tell the truth. And then I was called to like explain that in our history of the entire world, 100% of the time, governments and our monetary system has failed. 100% of the time. And each time it fails, each time the old crumbles, the new emerges. And so I think for me as well at the moment, with this whole like pushback of we won't comply, which is just to me lazy language. Ultimately, like I say it, I'm like, no, of course I'm not. I didn't wear a mask last time. They're not going to mask you for oil or vaccinate you for oil. But to me, that's where it's lazy language, because I'm like, what are you not complying with? Like, what's this not comply? Which I understand. People are like, well, lockdowns. I don't think they're going to lock you down on oil. I think there'll be energy. This is what I think. I think the energy we're going to have an energy crisis. I think that's coming. I think that will absolutely be coming.
We'll talk about some astrology with that.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Yeah. I do believe that there will be an energy crisis, because we won't have the oil and the fuel to run the mines, to produce the gas, which is how we get it in Australia. So I think there's an energy crisis coming. I definitely think there's like foreclosures on hundreds and thousands of homes because people can't afford their mortgages because inflation and interest rates are going to go so high. So there'll be a collapse from that perspective. I think there'll be a collapse in the energy system. I think there'll be, a collapse in the financial system. So this don't comply, I'm like, no, that's lazy. That's lazy language, and that's a lazy energy. Like and to me, it's influencers online screaming that who didn't do anything in COVID and saw that they got left behind. So now they're like, don't comply. And I'm like, to what? You need to be educating yourself, empowering yourself for possibly what's to come, and preparing yourself in essence. Like if you're over leveraged, deleverage. If you don't have, we said it on the first podcast, a couple of days worth of food. I now say a couple of weeks, enough that if shelves are empty in the supermarkets in time to come because the trucks can't get the food to the supermarkets, and the farmers that aren't seeding right now that aren't, giving us our next season's harvest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's some tuna and rice in the cupboard for the kids. Like, so yeah, I just think we're in this really precious danger zone of
calm before the storm.
Correct.
Yeah. So the do not comply thing is tied back into what happened during COVID.
Totally.
And if only we didn't comply then, well, bad luck, too late. Because everyone did.
Yeah.
Not me.
Brother and sister in arms.
Try not complying to the fact that you just can't buy fuel.
Yeah. This is what I don't get. Or food.
And then, the airlines aren't flying because there's a travel embargo because they have to ration fuel for essential services.
Yeah.
That's a different experience. It's going to have the same impact. In other words, a restriction on your activity.
Correct.
Right? So, but there's no choice in that matter unless you've already, for the last however long, got some property and you've got big holding tanks and you've been just, bucking up on fuel. You don't have to comply then.
Yeah.
But if you're like the rest of us that are relying on regular fuel coming from the servo and all of a sudden there's a restriction on it, how do you not comply to that?
Yeah.
You're forced to, right? So that's the difference between this Aries energy and that Capricorn energy, right?
Right.
They used fear back then to create compliance.
Yes.
Right? Now they're just taking away your life force.
Yeah.
It's fuel. They just take it away.
Yeah.
Bad luck.
Yeah.
And
which is the Aries energy.
You got to look at it like this. What people think when they think about who's in charge, they project their own perspective of their human nature onto that. You can't do that because then you're going, why aren't they? Who's the system isn't human.
Yes.
Right? It's an entity. It doesn't have a soul. It doesn't operate like a human. So you can't rely on it to behave like a human. It's not going to. How could they do this? There's no person that you're talking to in that sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have these puppets like Elbow and Trump and things like that, and you think they're the person in charge. No, it's a system.
Yeah.
So you can't project your human nature onto it and expect it to respond as if you would.
Yeah.
So therefore, you've got to understand that for the vast majority of people, they don't really give a shit what you do. They don't care. That's what's happening. So navigate that.
Yeah. That's what I say. I can intellectualize it. There's no emotion. That is funny because I got hundreds of messages yesterday like, how do you stay so calm? And I'm like, because
detached.
Yeah, I am detached from the outcome. Like I can intellectualize it and I can be aware of it. And then I regulate my nervous system and I know that it's all a game, and how do I want to play the game, really?
Pisces is a mutable water sign. Very emotionally, the more attached you are, the more emotionally overwhelmed you are. The more like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And you become a victim of what's happening.
Yeah.
Aquarius is detached. It's fixed air. It's the ability for your consciousness to detach emotionally. Amazing. Yeah. So that's what you need to do to navigate. Don't attach to it. Detach from it.
And people are going to say, I can hear the mums that like, well, that's easy for you, not for us, but I know like they'll respect what we're saying, but it's like, but fuck, that's easy for you to say, right? But how can I detach when I've got a mortgage and da-da-da? But it's like, but hang on, this is what we're saying when it's like educate, empower, and make decisions from that education. Like maybe it's time to not have a mortgage. Maybe it's time to deleverage.
Let's go higher again and just connect to the knowing of who we truly are. We're a soul having a human experience. We don't have a soul. We are a soul. Our soul has a body. Yes. Right? And we identify with that body, and I'm Luke and you're Anna. Yeah. That's not who we are. It's who we're being for this little journey. We came here with nothing. We're going to leave the same way. The sooner you can understand that, then you can just not attach to this. Yeah. That doesn't mean you don't enjoy the pleasures of the material realm. We're in a physical body to do those things, but don't attach to that shit. And if you are, because of the belief system, the indoctrination, this is a time to start deconditioning yourself and attaching from those belief systems. Yeah. And then it's much easier to go, it fucking doesn't matter anyway at the end of the day.
Yeah, and the old systems essentially, which is what you're saying.
So for the purposes of time, we're in April. It's the 2nd. Yesterday, 2 of the funniest things happened ever this year. One was Albanese's speech.
Oh, I was like, what? Oh.
2, was on April Fool's,
Yeah.
right, in the Northern Hemisphere. They sent a rocket to the moon.
Yeah,
They're just fucking
which
with
they
you.
did not send a fucking rocket to the moon.
Well, even if they sent a rocket up with supposed people, they're fucking with you on April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
They're fucking with you. Just as Elbow came out yesterday on April Fool's Day and did that speech, which was nothing, he's fucking with you.
Yeah, amen.
So they're kind of fucking with you now. So, like, if you're attached to that shit, that's on you.
Yeah.
Right?
We
Like,
can't help you.
they're doing that shit. They're telling you what they're doing. They're doing it on the April Fool's Day. You buy into that shit, then, you know, fool me once, shame on you.
Fool me twice, shame on yeah.
You know. So, later this month, around the 20th, give or take always a few days either side.
I've heard about this date. People keep messaging me about what's going on April 20. I'm like, I don't fucking know. I'll get
Saturn
Luke
is
on.
in Aries and it'll be there until 2028.
Okay.
Right? Saturn restriction, right? Limitation, obstacle, challenge. Saturn is the end of things. Saturn is the authority. Cardinal fire, the life force energy, right? So we're being restricted. What happens on the 9th or 10th is Mars moves into Aries.
Of April?
Of April. Mars moves into Aries.
Mm-hmm.
Mars in Aries is a very strong, dominating force. It's very action-orientated, ignition to things, like things are happening. On the 20th, it runs into Saturn.
Okay.
On the same day as Mercury's meet the three. So there's Mercury, Mars, and Saturn.
Okay.
Mercury, transportation, navigation. Mars, war or action.
Okay.
Saturn, stop.
Okay.
In Aries, life force, stop. So my prediction is that something's going to stop on that day.
Okay.
It's either going to be the war might just suddenly stop. Oh, fuck, it's just stopped. Possibly. Now, if that happens, because 2026 is if this, then that.
Yes.
If this, then that, right? So it's a bit like if that happens in February, then war is what the theme is. Okay, we're in that now.
Yeah, which is what you call that. So, and we're here.
If there's a sudden stop to the conflict, it's a false alarm.
Yes.
It's just a temporary thing to cool things down, pull the energy back to get ready for the next phase.
Yeah.
So you got to say, oh my God, it's done, it's finished. Okay, just exercise caution.
Yes.
If it's not that, then it's definitely going to be like fuel stuff, like as in there's no more fuel. Or
that's what I think it will be.
Or they've
take
come
that to
out,
the bank. I think it's
they've come out and they've said, well, there is fuel, but you can't have it.
Yeah, it'll be rationing, I think.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Feels like that. Then we move forward, right? So that's Mars and Saturn. Think of Mars as like he ignites things. It's like a match. There's already the bonfire ready to go.
Yeah.
Mars is now it's going.
I kind of like Mars.
Well, you're a Mars rule person, right? You're an
Oh,
Aries.
that makes sense. I was like, he sounds dangerous.
Yeah. They're like leadership. Action oriented.
You know what?
Doers.
Mars is fuck around, find out.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So if you want to look at the tarot, it's the Tower card, right?
Okay. What
that is like the false reality, and Mars comes along and just in a second destroys that shit. Just comes down, right? Yeah. So then fast forward to July.
Yeah. So April 20, stop, bang, something.
I would say it's going to be a restriction on your ability to travel.
Yeah, fly.
Right? Because Mercury's there. Maybe something to do with communications, right? Transportation. But also then like fuel, energy stuff. Like there's like an actual thing. It sort of makes sense too because we're in the school holidays.
Yeah. And
Easter. So Easter and then school holidays. If they did it now, there would be a pandemonium.
Yeah,
there'd be panic.
Fucking chaos.
It'd be pretty chaotic.
Yeah.
So let school holidays finish, and then all of a sudden, because Australians went a bit crazy in school holidays and traveled,
they can blame you.
Exactly. Yeah. Everyone's going to blame us for their problems, right?
Yeah.
So I think around the 20th, there's a sudden stop.
I would say so. I think that's when Albo will tell the truth that actually the boats aren't coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because of that, we might find May, June, we might find that there is a bit of a reprieve in things.
Mm-hmm.
Things might just settle down a little bit. Like there'll still be like restriction on fuel. Because the thing is with regards to the fuel, even if the war stopped today, we're still dealing with this problem for 6-12 months ahead, right? So I think by the time we get to late April, I think you got to prepare for like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you are in some situation where that is going to detrimentally affect you, then maybe you need to start planning for that.
Yeah.
In some whatever way possible. So we might see May, June, we might see a de-escalation. We might see a little bit of calmness. We might see some things petering out a little bit like, okay, finally. In July, on the 4th of July, very ominous date.
Yeah, I was like, ooh.
Mars has moved forward in the zodiac and Uranus has moved forward in the zodiac.
Okay.
Right? So Uranus is going to enter into Gemini, and Gemini rules transportation, navigation, communication, right? So we could see with Uranus, the planet of upheaval and disruption moving into that sign, we're probably going to start to see a lot of disruptions to communication, transportations around the world, how we move around and everything, messages to and from, how everything works, right? So on July 4th, Mars meets Uranus. Mars is the trigger.
Yeah, the match.
Uranus is the change.
Yeah.
Right? It's possible around that date, I wouldn't be surprised somewhere we see some very significant shock event where we go, oh, fuck. Now, go back to...
Hope it's not nuclear.
I think that's late July.
Fuck. I think it's coming. Maybe.
Yeah. But even then, like, nukes aren't real. They're going to give you the story. Nukes are not real.
Okay.
But big bombs are real. Just nuclear bombs are not real.
Okay.
Right. Think about Chernobyl and the meltdown of that, and you can't go there because it was nuclear. Well, Nagasaki and Hiroshima, flourishing cities. They dropped nukes there, apparently.
Very true. I've been there.
Or did they just petrol bomb and napalm the shit out of them and they called it a nuke? My belief, nukes aren't real. It's a part of the mind control system. Big ass fucking bombs are.
It keeps you...
It's the word,
scared,
right?
yeah, that's so true. It control. We're gonna nuke you.
It's a new key, right? Key, chi. It's the new energy, right? You think about what happened when they dropped the first ones, and they're symbolically connected to this August as well.
Oh, really?
I'll talk about that really quickly.
Yeah.
But let's pull back.
Yeah. Okay.
So we got
July 4th.
July 4th. Mars and Uranus coming together.
Yeah.
Could be a very sudden shock event.
Fuck me.
Like a shock event. Really like a sudden shock event. The last time Mars and Uranus came together, because they come together every 2 or so years, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was the day that Donald Trump's ear got shot.
Okay.
Right. So,
you called that too. Well, you said, there's going to be a big shock event with Trump.
It's an assassination attempt.
Assassination.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think's a July 4 then?
A false flag terror attack.
Okay.
Probably on US soil.
Okay.
But something like that I could see happening.
I'm just trying to think.
It could be because it's in Gemini. It could be like an attack, like a cyber attack. Yeah, could be a cyber attack. Shut down communications, shut down of social media, shut down of the internet.
Space, weirdly. I keep getting space. So I think, yeah. AI satellites.
Yeah. And there's this whole theory going around at the moment that the orbs are going to come in, the aliens are going to stop the war, and they're not going to drop the nukes.
I've heard that.
Anyway, don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
So that's 4th
July
of July.
4th.
Now, also around that time, Jupiter moves into Leo, which is a really good energy.
Great.
Right?
Thanks,
and
guys.
Pluto is sitting in Aquarius, the sign opposite.
Right.
When we get to the end of July on the 30th, there's a full moon. And on one side, you've got the sun and Jupiter, right? The two benefics, really big, powerful energy. Also in Leo, which rules gold.
Ooh.
Right? Gold. The sun rules gold. Leo's gold. And then opposite, Pluto and the full moon in Aquarius, directly opposite.
Right.
Now, that's a full moon on that day and that big opposition. That's a big explosive moment.
Okay.
If you
July
go back,
30th.
July 30th. If you go back to the 9th of August, 1945, which was a 9-year.
And we're in a 1 year, yeah.
We're in a 1 year. That was the day they dropped the bomb.
On Hiroshima.
Yeah, and that was a new moon in Leo with Pluto in Leo. So new moon, this is the full moon with now Pluto on the other side of the sky. So I think symbolically the July 30th is connected back to August 1945. And that's 81 years ago. And 81 is 9.
Is a 9.
So I think somehow July 30th this year. So again, orb of influence around that time. It could be the 28th, could be the 1st or 2nd of August.
Yeah.
So there's an orb of influence.
Yeah.
But that's a really explosive moment. What I've said to people is we need to get at least beyond that point to really assess what the fuck is next.
Okay.
Right?
Let's just stop there.
Because beyond that, it's going to really hinge on what happens around that time.
I just need Kim Jong-un and North Korea to stay the fuck out of everything. That's kind of what I think.
Yeah. So the theatre of war as well, like what's actually happening versus what they're telling you what's happening.
Yeah. Huge.
You know? And people get worried about this type of thing. I think that for the vast majority of people, they don't have to really worry because it's going to be the theatre of war. It's going to be on your TV.
Yeah. Yes. You're going
right?
to hear about it. It's like the war. We are at World War III, 100%. But it's in the skies. That's what I keep saying. It's ultimately a war in the skies.
Yeah, and we're moving towards what I think will be the global conflict, in the next few years. There'll be this whole just process.
Which is the collapse of it all.
Yeah, and it'll end up at China, USA, or China and, coalition or whatever thing. So, yeah.
So what is the best, how can you end it? So but I feel like it should be some energy advice more than anything, because I'm sitting here and maybe it's wrong, but I'm like, I just like a bit of fuck around, find out energy. I like a bit of, I don't mind it. It's true. Do you know what? It's sincerely so true what you said. I just feel so detached from it all. Like people go, but wouldn't you be affected? Fucking A. Like we're sitting in a 400 square meter studio that, if the world ends, like, well, that's.
The world is going to end because when they say that it's the end of the world, they don't mean the end of the earth. They mean the end of the age.
Yeah, as we know it.
Even in the Bible, when they say the world's at the world, anytime they use the word world, they mean the age we're in. World means age. So when they say it's world war, it's the end of the world, like this is the end of the age we're in, right? So you don't have to be afraid of the world war or the end of the world, because it's the end of the age, and it just comes about in a bang, right? It's not going to be like they can't just send you a letter in the mail and say, "Hey, it's the age of Aquarius now, everyone. We're
send an email."
They have to collapse everything. What I would say for those people that are really overwhelmed and really emotionally sensitive and all that, do some inner child work.
See, I knew it was going to be energy.
Do some inner child work. Do some inner child work. You've got to rescue your inner child, resolve a lot of the stuff that you haven't done and you've just avoided and repressed. That's going to be the best thing that you can do. Yeah. Because you can't do shit about what's going on out there.
That's the thing. That's what people,
you can't. There's nothing you can do.
Control the controllables.
Yeah. And if you can't detach, it's because you're emotionally invested. Well, you become emotionally invested probably because somewhere there's a deeper wound that hasn't been resolved.
Totally.
Right. And what's happened is instead of dealing with that wound, you've attached to something outside so you don't have to. So it's inner child stuff. As we went this year with Neptune and Saturn in Aries, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It rules the innocence of your life force as a child. That's just expressive. There's no inhibitions. There's no restrictions, right? It's just the ability to just express yourself, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that are coming up, especially for a lot of my clients over this last 3 months, is a lot of deep inner child stuff. And they're not directly connected to that. It's just got some challenge in their life that we trace back and we go, oh, what happened here? Okay, well, that's where the problem is. You have to resolve that. Yeah. So the more you can do that and the more you can make your inner child feel secure, right, and safe, secure and safe, the more you can detach from what's going on and know you'll be okay. So I think that's definitely what a lot of people can absolutely do.
Yeah.
What can you change about what's going on out there? Nothing. No.
Yeah.
Not a thing.
That's it. That's why I take so I don't even get angry at people. Like I'm like, control your controllables. Like, and for me, that is your mental, your relationships, like with self. It's all very self, like physical health, mental health, spiritual health, inner circle health as well. Like who have you got around you?
Community is important.
Community is so important.
Very important. Just like-minded people that you can have conversations with. Worst case scenarios. So for some people in certain industries or businesses or, positions that are like, well, what is that going to mean for me? What I would say for those people is role play the worst case scenario situations. Because what happens is most people they're afraid of the unknown. What if? And they don't actually rationalize the what if. This is a time to take the what if and rationalize it. Give it some thought. Like, what if you can't travel?
Yeah.
Right. So people say, oh, am I going to be able to go to my house? What if you can't? Are you planned for that?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I hope. Don't rely on hope. Base your analysis on reality, what the hell's going on, and then plan out some of the worst case scenarios.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there's a war and it's global and we're involved. Okay, what does that mean for you? And how's it going to impact you? What if that happens? What would you do?
Yeah.
There's a restriction on food in the supermarket. What are you going to do? There's no communication. How are you going to get in contact with your loved ones? What are you going to do? Have a bit of an understanding and a rationalization of those things so that if in the event that something like that happens, you're not caught off guard. You're not hoping that the what if doesn't happen. Like if the what if happens, you're like, okay, this is what we do. And then have a plan.
I love that because That's exactly what Ryan and I have done. We sat down and we're like, okay, if, because one of his sons is in Canberra. So I said, well, you're going to want him near. So what are we going to do? Like, what does that look like? Let's talk about that now. What if, internet gets wiped out? So Starlink. So I was like, right, well, what are we going to do there? Food. And you got a couple of kids. So I know they'll rely on us as well. So what are we going to do? Like we just went through it all and we were like, cool. And that's all we can do.
Yeah.
And then the rest, we're just going to fuck around and find out and love each other and be calm and control the controllables. And we also, I, especially from 2020, I made sure that I had set my life up to the best of my ability, and that could all crumble and come down. But I've said it on every podcast that at the end of the day, you are your own greatest asset. And so for me, even if everything collapsed and died and I had to start again, I fucking could.
Yeah.
I could the next day. I'd get up and start again, because it's like I can, because I've got my mental, my physical, my spiritual, my, relationship and self.
Yeah.
And I work on myself and my mental's that, I know I'm my own greatest asset. And so even if everything collapsed, if the world, the ages we know it ended, then cool, I show up again the next day and you rebuild. Like you will be okay. Like you're not ending. The age of Pisces is ending. And
the world is ending.
The world is ending as we know it. I really do believe that. I do believe that's what I think we're at.
Responsibility is the ability to respond. That's it. That's what you got to have. You want to be able to survive this transition, you have to have the ability to respond, not react.
Yeah.
And not control.
Mm-hmm.
Respond.
Yeah.
Because there are some things that are going to be like, for example, if they stop fuel, what are you going to do about that? They can't do that. I won't comply. Good luck. You can't get fuel from the tank. What are you going to do?
Yeah, that's it.
You have to be able to respond to that situation.
Yes.
That's responsibility.
Yeah.
And then REM said it best.
What did they say?
It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine.
We love it. Well, I think that is the perfect. I was like, of course he's going to go out on an REM song. I think that is enough for today. I think we've traumatized the masses enough. No, do you know what?
You got to bring light to this stuff.
You do. No, you absolutely do. And I think that's why I'm always okay, because of the detachment, because it's like controlling the controllables, the inner child work, which I just absolutely adore, having the understanding that responsibility is just your ability to respond and remaining calm, and understanding that irregardless of even if the world, was or wasn't ending in this period, and there's always going to be something, right? There's always something politically, economically, health, like there's always something going on in the world, and it's our job to respond and to I just think it's all a game. That's the way I look at it. I think that the thing I will end it on, because I love yours, the one thing I will say is just don't forget that you chose to be here during this time. Like your soul has chosen to incarnate and be here and play at this time in history. You chose that. And so your soul knows what it's doing. You are not separate from that. You will be okay no matter what. Community is super important. But at the end of the day, underneath all of that, like, you chose this time, and that's definitely what I lean on. And I'm not excited, but I'm like, okay, let's see the collapse. Let's see what comes new, and let's find, I'm excited to find my role and my place amongst all that. So
yeah. Cautious optimism.
Also slightly incurable, but yeah. Incurable optimism. But I will leave it there. Luke, thank you so much. You're going to have to look, I feel like July 5th you'll be back in.
Probably August is a good time.
Yeah.
I reckon.
No, that's too
the next 3 months out of the way and
okay.
see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah. But you become the observer, and there'll be a lot to talk about like August. So
I feel like July. Yeah, actually, no, you're right. Yeah, because July 4th, July 30. Yeah,
we need to get through that.
Yeah. Okay, well, guys, I promise I will bring him back. We gave you enough. We gave you a lot. And as I always say, what's that quote? Take care of yourself and each other. Who said that?
I don't know, but good afternoon, good evening,
good night. Yeah. No, but as Anna Rose always says, until next time, stay wild. Stay wild.